Wow.
And that's how come that I love teaching with all my heart.
Yes.
Now, of course, that meant, therefore, I qualified to go to the university. Luckily enough, by the grace of God, in the university that time, we were not paying anything. And we were even being given money every semester. Boom.
Yes.
We were being given boom.
Yes.
So that's how come that now later on, of course, when I was posted to the school where I was,
Yes.
that is the time that I took my salary from the TSC, that is Teacher Service Commission.
Yes.
Went back to my former school to pay fees that I had not paid since Form 2.
Wow. And you paid the whole of it?
I paid the whole of it, and I was given my certificates.
That was good of you.
Yes, and it was also very good of the head teacher.
Yes, because very few people will remember that. They will take an advantage and they don't pay back.
There were two things. One, I was brought up well.
Okay.
By a single mother, but brought up well.
Yes.
Especially the values inculcated in me.
Yes.
By my grandmother,
Yes.
who took me to church. And one of them is, if you owe anybody anything, pay. That's one. But again, the other thing is this. I needed also my Form 4 and Form 6 certificates.
Yes.
Although there wasn't in where they were being required, I needed to actually have them.
Yes.
At that particular time. But of course, later on, I came to realize that even in the promotions and everything, they will keep on asking, even for the Class 7 certificate.
So you had
I don't know for what reason. So it is good that I had already gotten them.
Yes.
But I already had a job
Okay.
as a teacher by the time that I went for my certificates.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, fast forward to your time in after university.
Yeah.
And you are getting married. And you told us, you said that you never used to play with girls because at the back of your mind, you always thought that a child will come up and that child will grow up without a father. How did you navigate that area?
One, I met my wife when we were in the university. We were both year mates.
Yes.
And some of them, actually most of the courses, because she was also doing BN, chemistry and mathematics just like me, but she was a regular where I was a chemistry major.
Yes.
So by the time that we were leaving university, we were just friends. So very good friends, and she was a friend amongst the friends.
Yes.
And eventually, I realized that we are even seeking one another. Like, for example, when we have not been to the same course,
Yes.
Later on, we would actually look for one another to go and take a meal.
Yes.
In those days, there were no mobile phones. So we'd literally seek one another. I would either go to a hostel or she would come to check on my hostel before going for meals.
Yes.
And we'd go for meals together. And eventually I realized that this is a girl. She likes the things that I like. She likes Jesus. I love Jesus. She likes going out for missions. I loved going out for missions. In fact, quite a good number of them we went together, but with no attachment.
Yes.
There was no attachment. And I felt that this is the girl that I would want to spend the rest of my life with.
Wow.
And I was already born again. I said I was already born again.
Yes.
I got born again when I was in high school. So even it's not only merely the decision that I made, but the grace of God upon my life.
Upon your life.
Yeah, so it was not a difficult issue. The only difficult thing came to when we were now going for the dowry negotiations.
Yes.
Because I didn't have much. And she herself, she came from a well-off family by the standards of the times.
Yes.
She was much better than our place.
Yes.
And those people, whatever they were demanding during the negotiations, I did not have them.
Wow.
I did not have them. I actually asked her to book an appointment for me with my future mother-in-law. And I said, I'm not coming with the elders. I'm not coming with those people we used to come with.
Yes.
I'm coming alone.
Hey,
so
that's unheard of.
Especially around that time.
Yes.
So what happened is that I took two friends actually. The one who was going to be my best man.
Yes.
And he was already married, but just about 1 year old in marriage.
Yes.
And then there was another friend. We traveled to their home, but my mother-in-law called the uncles to my wife.
Yes.
And around that time, what happened is that I went and addressed my mother-in-law and said,
Yes.
you know, Mom, all those people that I've been coming with,
Yes.
in future they will not be coming with me.
Uh-huh.
And all those people that I've been finding here, in future they will not be here.
Yes.
So I have decided to come and talk with you as a mother and her son.
Yes.
And I said, I heard all the things that were asked for. But Mama, I've come to tell you,
I don't have.
I don't have them. I don't have those things.
Wow. Uh-huh.
But the one thing is that I want to honor you
Yes.
as the father, as the mother,
Yes.
and I want to honor God because I'm born again.
Yes.
So in my honoring of God and in honoring you as my parents,
Yes.
I want you to give me the go ahead to get to marry your daughter.
And now, when you told your wife to be that you've been raised by a single mother, what was her reaction?
She knew all along. You know, I had shared that as you know, I've said we were friends.
Yes.
And even before I actually proposed to her, there was a mission going towards that side of Laikipia. And we went with her. And then her and another gentleman, the lady, I told them, let's pass through our home. I come from here, let's pass through our home.
Yes.
What I wanted her to do, actually the target was her.
Yes.
I wanted her to see our home so that when she is agreeing or disagreeing,
She knows.
Where
she's
so
getting
we
herself
went
in.
there, we found our home the way it was.
Yes.
My mother made us a cup of tea. We took the cup of tea, then we went and took matatus and we went. So by the time that I was proposing to her, she was fully aware of where I've come from.
Wow.
Yes, and that to her again, because one friendship, knowing that I'm born again, that to her was never an issue.
Wow. And now children started coming.
Yes.
At the time of you getting your firstborn, did you felt that you are ready to get a child? Or you had some worries because you don't have anyone who could have guided you, a model that you could have followed, having been raised by a single mother?
To me, it was never an issue.
Okay.
To me, it was never an issue. And secondly, I can tell you that I in the village where I was working, because by then my wife had transferred and we were teaching in the same school. In the village where I was working, we went totally against the general customs of the community that was there. Like, I would actually literally carry my baby. My firstborn was born when he was 4.3. By the way, it was 4.3 kgs.
Wow. Too heavy.
Yes. And my wife was this short, slender girl.
Yes.
And I thought that why should you die burden? And it was unthinkable. It was unthinkable in that village. Actually, severally, she was called aside and being asked, why do you allow your husband to do these things? I was ready. And then secondly, I went through some premarital counseling that was very, very helpful. And I decided to make my family the way I want, not necessarily because of the customs of where I came from or the customs of the people I was living with. I have said I would literally carry my baby. That was unheard of in that area.
Yes.
I would actually, even when he grew a little bit bigger, I would actually put him on my shoulders and hold him, and then we'd go with him. Many places we went with him when the mother was not there. Especially when he was about 2 years, 3 years, up to the time that he went to school at 4 years. We'd go with him in very many places without the mother being there.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was very proud to walk around with my son.
Yes.
Yes.
And with that, how were you able to balance your personal development, that's academics, your work, and even being present, because carrying your son meant that you are close with him. How did you manage to balance that? Oh, and as you give an answer to that, give an advice also to a person who is watching us and who is finding a struggle in balancing work, present in this family, and even just being available to the children.
Actually, for me, it was never an issue because I've said we were teaching in the same school.
Yes.
It only became an issue much later when my firstborn was 5 years. when and we had lost our second born.
Yes, sorry for that.
And my wife now transferred from where the school where we were and went back to Nyahuru because we thought that we'd go back to Laikipia.
Yes.
And later on, I would actually be going there every Friday, coming back to whatever every Monday. But later on, again is a story. We may not have time for that. I went to teach. I was later on myself transferred, to Moi High School, Kabarak. And now she herself, she was transferred back from Nyahururu to come to Moi High School, Kabarak. Again, we worked together for about 4 years. Where the challenge became is later on I got a job with the then called SMASE. Actually was deployed to SMASE. SMASE stood for Strengthening of Mathematics and Science in Secondary Education. It was a donor-funded project funded by JICA. And I was posted as a national trainer in chemistry in Nairobi. Now, my family was left in Nakuru. I was in Nairobi. That is the only period of time when there was a challenge.
Yes.
And this challenge came to me very, very clearly when one time we went for a mission somewhere in Nyeri. And on Sunday, I told everybody we were with in a secondary school, a school in Nyeri County. Everybody we were with, I told them, I want some time with my family after the Sunday service because I was the one going to preach in the rally. So after that, we went out. And then when I mentioned that I was going to go to part with them from Nyeri,
Yes.
my son literally, asked me, Dad, you're not traveling with us back to Nakuru? I said, no. And then he asked me, why? I said, because tomorrow is a working day. And even if we reach there, we'll be very, all those reasoning that you can give.
Yes.
My son stood up, by then he was in grade 5, and had an outburst, which literally shook me. And he told me, Daddy, you don't understand how much I miss you when you're in Nairobi. That time he's in tears. That's the time that I got hold of him, went and sat down together with him somewhere. And I realized the issues that were going through him. Then another time I come home and then we want to pray. And then we go out around asking everybody, what is your prayer issue? And then my daughter says, that in Kiswahili, mi nataka kuomba nyumba ya dadi ya Nairobi ibomoke.
That he wants to pray that
my house may iwe demolished or collapse.
Yes.
And then, everybody laughed. But it got into me.
Yes.
And then he was asked why. And he said, so that daddy can be here together with us. So when she said that, I realized these children are having an issue. So what did I do? I immediately decided that we were not going to. I'm not going to remain in Nairobi again. So what happened is that I actually applied for further studies.
Nice.
By then, I applied for further studies to go to Egerton University, which is in Nakuru County. And by then, my wife was also doing her master's in Egerton, so that the family can be together. After the studies, I was asked whether I want to go back to SMASE.
Yes.
And I said no. Why? For the sake of my family.
Wow.
I didn't want my children to grow up without their father around. Yes.
And what will you tell a father who is outside there who works so hard to get money and send it to the family, but he rarely goes home?
I wouldn't want to blame any father because some of the circumstances of their jobs they would not be able to. Like, for example, some of them who are working in the discipline forces.
Yes.
You can't keep on moving with your family everywhere. But I think it is the responsibility of the father to try as much as they can to be there. And these days, even with the technology, you can actually be having conversations with your children even almost on daily basis.
Yes.
So even though the physical presence is not there, they need to feel that presence. But at the same time, if there is a father who would actually out there and has the ability and the potential to be there with their children.
Yes.
Children growing up with their father is very, very important. And that's one of the things that I've actually, one of the chapters here, effects of absentee fathers on children, from page 12 of this book. And I've talked about it. I've talked about, and this is from research.
Yes.
What are the emotional effects? What are the social effects? What are the cognitive effects? And the issue of gender identity.
Yes.
And several other issues that are there that come as a result of absentee fatherhood. And therefore, I advocate for a father who can be there, to be present. In fact, I say, eventually I came to meet the man who was my biological father.
You did. Tell us about it.
At the age of 42.
Oh.
I met him finally. But we didn't, and I had written several, one of the things that I grew up with as a son
Yes.
is I grew up with this fear when I was growing up that one of these days I might end up there and get a girl.
Yes.
And when I take her to her, we go to her father.
Yes.
And the father inquires and finds that I am the son of so and so.
Yes.
Says that, you cannot marry this one because this is your half sister.
Yes.
I had that fear in me all along. But finally, when I realized that my wife was not in any way related to, because my mother by then had told me who actually was my father, I started seeking him. Now another fear came in. The fear was, what if my children now eventually grow up and they are attracted to their cousins?
Wow. Yes.
That fear was there.
Yes.
In fact, to me, I think was issue of bondage. And finally, I met him. Okay. Unfortunately, we never had a conversation because he was on a hospital bed. All along, we had been schooling with my half-brother.
Wow. And
we had been posted to Xavier. It's only that he had a name that rings a bell. When my mother told me that this is the name of your father.
Yes.
And this man has the same name.
Yes.
Eventually, I tried writing letters to that man. And he was a secondary, despite the fact that we were having all those problems.
Yes.
He was a head teacher of a primary school. Anyway. And that is why also I advocate. I think men, we need to come clean. If any man has a child out there, even out of wedlock,
tell them.
Let them own up.
Yes.
Let us not be like the sowers of the seeds.
Yes.
Who went sowing and some of them fell on the way, some of them fell amongst thorns, some of them fell on the rock, some of them fell on fertile ground.
Yes.
The fact remains that if it is your seed, take care of that seed.
Yes.
You need to, young people, especially young people, they can make mistakes. But a child is not a mistake. That child is not a mistake.
I think you need to repeat that.
Yes, it is true. I'm saying,
yes.
Even though that maybe somebody made a mistake as a young person or even as an old person, the child is not a mistake. Wow. The child deserves a father.
A child deserves.
And therefore, let the fathers own up. Unfortunately, especially in some cultures, the child belongs to the mother. And the mothers also are preventing the fathers the children from knowing their father.
Yes.
Which it is even in our Kenyan constitution that both the parents have equal responsibility on the upbringing of the child. It is there in the Kenyan constitution. It is a child's right to know who the father is.
And now that you brought that up, that some mothers block fathers from seeing their children. What is your take on this aspect where when some mothers, when they give birth in the absence of the father of the child, they end up naming those children their names, giving them their surnames. What effect does that have to the child identity?
That thing has been very controversial, and people have debated it either way. But I would want to say my own personal experience, now not on myself, but as a teacher teaching in a tertiary institution.
Yes.
I was training grown-ups. These are grown-ups by all standards.
Yes.
When you're in a tertiary institution, you are in a grown-up. I noticed one thing.
Yes.
For all those children those boys
Yes.
whose surname is a man's name, if you ask them to write in any document their name, they would always start with their surname,
Yes.
which is the name of their father,
Yes.
or whoever. They would always start with the name of the surname.
Yes.
Like, for example, now for me, I write Gashohi,
Yes.
Michael Mwalimu. Okay? I also noticed, because in my class or in my classes, there were some students with their mothers as surname. I found out that they never write the surname in the documents, other than only in the final exam.
Wow.
I sat down with some of them. And they told me, of course, it's the issue of stigmatization.
Yes.
They actually told me that when I use them, for example, Anjiro, or I use Joki, or I use whatever, people now start making fun of me from that. So the key thing is stigmatization is an issue.
Yes.
Some of them boldly use that. I'm sure that we are familiar with the Kenyan runner,
Yes.
Wanjiro, who the marathon runner,
Yes.
who
won
was
the five
using
major marathon races.
yes, who was actually using the mother's name
Yes.
as the surname.
Yes.
But if you look at his behavior,
Yes.
if you look at his behavior, it actually shows that there was still something that also was lacking in his life. The issue of identity.
Yes.
Just like I said, somebody like the former president, the 44th president of the United States of America,
Yes.
had to come all the way to Kogero to connect with his identity.
Yes.
Let us not deny any child their true identity.
I think that's said enough, Mwalimu. We don't need to add anything there. The message has gone out. And as we bring this to a close, you've raised two adults. One of them is your son. What values have you put into him that you like him to hold dear, so that he will be able to raise his children well as you raised him?
Thank you for asking about the values, because one of the things that I would want to say is that, and when we are dealing with the issues of parenting,
Yes.
because we do that a lot with my wife, we tell people that what you invest in your child is much more valuable than what you invest for them. Even that presence of a father,
Yes.
the children take it. Children interpret love as presence.
Yes.
If you're present, you love them. If you're not present, you don't love them. That is why, sorry for digressing,
Yes.
that is why you find that when some of these children grow up, they go abroad, to live abroad,
Yes.
and they ask any one of the parents to go to visit them.
Yes.
In your experience, no, not mine, in your experience, who is normally invited?
The mother.
The mother. Why not the father? Because the mother was forever there with them. There was connection. And that is why I'm saying that we need also, as fathers, also to connect with our children.
Yes.
One of the things that is very, very critical is inculcation of values. Values like hard work.
Yes.
Values like respect for self, respect to others, and respect for property. Because even if you don't, the little that you have, take care of a bit.
Yes.
Because whoever is faithful with the little, God will put him in charge of much.
Yes.
So and also when you respect yourself and you respect others, you will not go being a sower of seed everywhere as a young man. When it is a girl and she knows she respects herself,
Yes.
she respects her body, she will not just go sleeping with any other person and becoming a baby mama.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That's powerful. Hearing you speak, I feel and hear a person who is healed.
Totally. I have no bitterness. In fact, we joke with my mother.
How did you come to that end?
One time, I must say that when my mother cheated me, even to this day, I hate lies. Do anything to me, but tell me the truth.
Yes.
Even when my children were growing up, as a result, I told them, tell me the truth no matter what.
Yes.
Let me deal with the ugly truth, other than to find later on that you are cheating me.
Yes.
And any time that I seriously punished my children, it is not when they had done a mistake.
No.
It is when they had told me
A lie.
a lie. Or they did a mistake and then were trying to tell me a lie. Mistakes were, at least everybody can make a mistake, and you can be forgiven. Even as grown-ups, we make mistakes. And that is why he said even the fathers who have made a mistake and they have gone out of their wedlock or maybe sowed the seed somewhere, they should be responsible enough to say, I made a mistake. And it can actually be forgiven.
Yes.
What I want to say is that one of the things that when my mother told me that my father's name is Kimani, then let alone asked me that question, who is Kimani? From that time, for a very, very long time, even when I was married, the relationship between me and my mother was very strained. One time, I decided I would want to go to my mother, and I told my wife, we are not going with you. So we went, the two of us. We were just the two of us. And I went there and I was determined. And I told my mother, Mom, I love you so much. But if there is somebody who has hurt me in my life, it is you. Of course, because the strained relations and several other things. It is you. And in the process, hurting people hurt other people. I may have also hurt you as a result of the hurt that I was going through. So, Mom, I have come not to ask you or to tell you how you wronged me, or to ask you how this is not a case that we can come and do a case. What I've just come to tell you, Mom, please forgive me.
Wow.
And for me, I totally forgive you, whatever you have ever done to me that I was not right. And then we held hands. I told her, let's hold hands. And we held hands. I can tell you from cultural issues. My mother had never seen my tears since I, after initiation, had never seen my tears. But in the process of her praying with me and us praying, that time I shed tears. And I can tell you from that moment onwards, my relationship with my mother was totally healed.
Wow.
Totally.
Wow.
And of course, there are other people that had been forgiven there before, like my uncle. I have no bitterness whatsoever with my uncle. I talk about these issues not because I am bitter, but because they happen and because they are true, and probably because they can help somebody else.
Yeah. You are talking about them because they can help somebody else. In a brief, share with us the place of faith in the whole of this. In a person who is growing up without a biological father around them, a single mother who is raising children by herself.
God is the father of the fatherless. He is the husband to the widows in the sense of provision. And therefore, I believe that one of the things that I am very, very grateful to God for is for giving me a believing grandmother, Lois. Incidentally, she was Lois, just like the grandmother of Timothy. But my mother is not Eunice. So I remember she took me to church. And from a very early age, we knew that we can pray to God. That's why I talked about prayer when I was in grade 5. And I would want to say that having a meaningful connection with God and faith in Christ in itself is very, very helpful. It's very, very helpful, I would say that. My mother now is born again.
Amen.
And we joke with her, even concerning that past. Like even when my biological father passed on, and I told him so and so passed on. And now that time she could tell me very easily, what she was finding had much earlier. And I would want to say that having meaningful faith is very, very critical. And I'm talking about, please note that I did not say being born again or having salvation. I said having a meaningful faith in God, because we could also be talking about a Muslim. And that in itself is very, very helpful in so many areas, because the issue of faith is a powerful force.
It is.
And regardless of which region.
Yes.
I would want to say that. I'm more enlightened than there before saying that it's only in my church or in something.
Yes.
Meaningful faith is very, very important. And I would want to urge everybody, even when you have meaningful faith as a father, you cannot neglect your family.
You can't.
You cannot neglect your children. If you take full responsibility,
Yes.
so to say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow. What do we say? We don't have anything else to add. But before we conclude, it will be an injustice for us not to show you the books this powerful author has authored. And I'm assuming they're available in the bookshops around here?
Yes, but we one of them, like this one here, is available on Amazon.
Yes, and that is
Navigating Parenting as a Single Mother.
Yes.
this one. You've got it?
Yeah, this other one may not be available on Amazon.
Okay.
But anybody, anywhere these days,
Yes.
anybody, anywhere in the world,
Yes.
anything can be sent there.
Anybody, anything can be said
Because
there.
this book has been sold in Ethiopia, it has been sold in Zambia, it has been sold in the US, it has been sold in a few other countries.
Yes.
And I believe that it's a powerful resource. This one here, the last question you asked me,
Yes.
the issue of meaningful faith.
Yes.
That's why it's praying, or aspiring,
Yes.
the effects of prayer.
Wow.
Because I believe that my life
Yes.
was shaped through prayer, and they can be available anywhere. So occasionally, some of them, like I remember a lady in Embu calling me and said I don't know how she stumbled upon the book, and she said that it is not available in Embu. I told her I'll send you, give me your address, and she paid even for shipping, and I posted it.
And if anybody wants to reach you,
Yeah.
and talk with you or invite you to speak to our group or even the young people, because that's another area that we did not cover,
Yeah.
of the passion
And I do
that you
that
have
very
with
much.
young people.
Yeah.
How can they reach you?
Very easy. My number is 0722 326897, and I believe that it can be shown on the screen.
Yes.
0722 326897.
Yes.
It's a number that is in the public domain.
Yes.
So I don't fear it being known. Yeah, and once they call me, I'll go.
Yes.
By the grace of God, I'm going even for a youth conference in a place called Wau in South Sudan this month.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not only just around, we anywhere. And that one is somebody who met me.
Yes.
We talked in a conference, and he
Yes.
said, I want to invite you to South Sudan.
Wow.
And now I'll be in South Sudan in the youth conference.
Yes.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you for that, and thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you.
We hope that the story that you've shared, your background, will change a person who is facing a challenge. You could be growing up without a biological father around, and you've been told clearly that your past does not determine your future. You can always change the direction of your life for good, and you rewrite the story that you never had, and you make it better for generations to come. With that, we come to the end of our episode today. If this story has resonated with you, consider subscribing, turn on the notification bell so that every time we upload a new episode, you'll not miss it. But also, do not forget, we want to hear your views. We want to read your experiences. Write them on the comment section. And let's keep this conversation going and ensure that no further limits. Thank you.